compound interest today. So starting up with compound interest, I want to talk about what is balance? Okay, balance. Well, you can see my controls over here. Oh, you know the secret now. So let me move my colors out of the way. Anyways, talking about balance. Balance is just the principle. We learned that last time from Simple Interest. If you haven't watched Simple Interest, you should probably watch that. Okay, so it's the principal plus the interest earned. So say you put in $1,000 in a bank account, and after 6 months you earn 500 bucks. So which would be a lot. That'd be pretty awesome actually. But anyways, the balance would be 1,500, 1,000 plus the 500 extra that you earned. All right. Well, what's compound interest? Well, compound interest is interest paid on the balance. Right? Paid on the balance. So let's see how this works. Let's say you deposit $400. Okay, so you deposit 400 bucks. Okay. You deposit that in an account that earns 5% interest. In an account that earns 5% interest. However, I'm gonna add something. Compounded sounds kind of cool actually. Compounded annually. I kind of took the coolness out of it as soon as I said annually, but just go with it. And if you don't know what annually means, that means one time per year. Once. I should have said once. There we go. Once per year. Man, I can't write today. Wow, that looks really, truly horrible, but just go with it. Anyways, what is the balance on your account after 4 years? So, what's the balance after 4 years? All right, so let's take a look at how this actually works. So, the way to think about compounded interest is it updates the principal every time it's compounded. So, I'll show you what I mean by that. So, starting at year one, Y1, you start with $400 and we're going to find 5% of that. That'll tell us our interest. Well, that's 20 bucks. So my balance, I'll label this category right here. This column is balance. My balance would be 420 bucks at the end of the first year. Well, at year two, what happens is it gets compounded. So now instead of starting with 400, you're starting with 420 bucks times 0.05, the 5%, and now you earn an interest of $21. So your updated balance is now 441 bucks. On year three, well then now you are starting with 441. It gets compounded at the beginning of the year. Times 0.05 equals, and the interest here would be $22.05. So we're at $463.05. At year four, this is the last one. We start with $463.05 times 0.05. And that's equal to, and I'm going to do some rounding here. It's 23.15, and I rounded off some decimal places, but just go with it. And I got $486.20 as my balance. So that was a very lengthy and annoying process. Okay, it's compounded once per year. But what if I said it was compounded oh gosh, what if I said compounded daily? We would have to write this 360 some times. It's horrible. So there's got to be some kind of formula, and absolutely there is a formula for this, thank goodness. So let's erase all this. Erase the title by accident, but I don't care. All right, so the formula for compound interest. And this formula, if you're the person that likes to follow along in the book in my class, I'm writing a different formula than the one in your book. The one in the book that Wake County uses is quite awful. So please, please do not use the formula that is in that pre-algebra book. Okay, I'm going to say B for balance is equal to P and then parentheses 1 plus R over N raised to the n times t. Okay, we need to know what each one of these means. Okay, a formula is absolutely useless unless you know what each of the values mean. So B, that's balance. P, principal. Oh gosh, well, whatever. Anyways, R is the rate. And remember, that's usually written as a percent, but we plug it in as a decimal. T, of course, is time, and that's still in years. So if I say like 9 months, you plug in 0.75 because it's 0.75 of a year. And finally, the new guy on the block, N. N is the interest period. So that could be a number of different things. I could say annually, and that would mean that N would be 1. The interest period is 1 year. So annually, N would be 1. If I said semi-annually, that's twice. That means it gets compounded twice per year. If I said quarterly, N would be 4, okay, because it would get compounded 4 times a year. If I said monthly, N would equal 12 because it would be compounded 12 times in a year. If I said daily, N would be 360, not 365. Okay, bankers are weird. I guess they don't recognize those last 5 days. I'm sure there's a good reason for it, but I didn't look it up, to be honest. I'm more focused on just teaching this formula and, kicking some math butt. But anyways, so 360 is what we want to plug in for daily. So let's do an example. Let's actually go back and do the last example. I'm sure it was really, really easy. So you had $400 and it was a 5% interest rate compounded annually over 4 years. So let's plug in those numbers and let's kind of see what it looks like. So we were trying to find the balance. Oh, it just went really slow all of a sudden. Trying to find the balance. And we started with $400 as our principal, 1 plus a 5% interest rate. And it was compounded annually, so N would be 1. Raised to the N would be 1 again. And how many years was it? Oh, it was 4. Sweet. Well, plugging that into your nifty calculator, you end up with, let's check. Oh, goodness gracious. The balance is $486.20. It's the same thing that we got doing it step by step, but boy, was that so easy. All right, let's do another example real quick. Just a quick one. Just to test out our formula. Oh, let's go with magenta. No, green. Green's the color of money, so let's do it. All right, we want to find the balance on an account where there was initial deposit of $1,000. That's the principal. And it has an interest rate of 6%, compounded. Let's go with quarterly. Ooh. Quarterly. And for 5 years. Let's go with 5 years. 5 years sounds awesome. And again, is now going super slow. There we go. 5 years. All right, so let's plug it in. Now, like I said before when I did the simple interest video, every time I learn a new formula, I really like to write it down every time I have to use it. So B equals P parentheses 1 plus R over N raised to the NT. It's a lot to memorize, so make sure you write it down every time you do an example. By the time you get to the test, you'll have written it so many times that there's no way you can forget it. So $1,000 is the principal. So let's replace P with 1,000. 1 plus. The rate is 6%, so that would be 0.06 divided by, well, what's N? N is, it's compounded quarterly. N is the number of interest periods. So if it's compounded quarterly, that's 4 times a year. So N would be 4. So that N would be 4 as well. So what is T? Well, it's 5 years. So 4 times 5. So there's a lot of things to plug in, and I'll go ahead and write my equals B. To be honest with you, I haven't even solved this problem yet. I just kind of made up half of it off the top of my head. So let's start solving it. I need to do 0.06 divided by 4, and that is 0. And that is something that you can't see. Hold on, 0.015. So 1 plus that We know 4 times 5 is 20, so let's go ahead and write that. And then 1,000 on the outside equals b. All right, and on the inside of these parentheses, I probably should have went ahead and simplified that. 1 plus 0.05 is 1.015 raised to the 20th. And now I'm going to bust out my awesome calculator that is on my phone because I left my actual good calculator at school. So 1.015 raised to the 20th power. And I got an enormous number, so I'm going to go ahead and times it by, not an enormous number, but we go ahead and times it by 1,000. It's just a number with a lot of decimal places. All right, so my result was $1,346 and 86 cents. I rounded that last part. So at the end of 5 years, if I start with $1,000, at the end of 5 years with a 6% interest rate, compounded quarterly, I end up with $1,346.86. All right, that's about all I have to say about compound interest. Okay, in real banking, they don't often use compound interest. Okay, in real banking, a lot of places will do something where they compound continuously. Ooh, but that's a whole different world of advanced math right there. Talking about the number e. Yes, I said number e. Okay, and logarithms, natural logarithms, and fun stuff like that. So, if you're interested, you can wait till the future and be excited because it is pretty awesome. Anyways, I'm Mr. Bajork, and that was compound interest.